Well, I am Bill Brobston, 30-year member of CWA tomorrow. And I was hired in the garage after this great man who's a good friend and mentor of mine. I got his job. He retired in '78, January. And the next guy hired in Anderson Garage was myself. So you're looking at two generations of foremen. This is Carl Nolton, who was hired in 1947, correct?
I think that's right.
And worked way all the way up through, helped form the unions. Him and Herb and his brother Herb was instrumental in forming the CWA when
Herb
he met
was
in
my
groups of
brother.
three. Your older brother.
Yeah.
And Carl's going to give us some insight on where the CWA came from, the organizational start of it, and the history of it a little bit, and what these guys went through to get what we got now.
Well, it's a lot different now than it was back then. In fact, I think you got to be smarter now than you had to be back then. I really think you do to compete with the company. But we had a rough go of it because I can remember my brother, he worked on a line gang, and he would get off work and he'd drive clear to Evansville just to pick up one member. And no kidding, he'd drive all night long to pick up one member. And you couldn't even mention the fact that you was talking union because he'd fire you on the spot. In fact, he worked on a line gang back then. They done everything by hand, you know. And right up at the corner of Ohio Avenue and 14th Street, they fired the whole crew but him and the truck driver without reason. Boss got mad. So there's a reason to have a union. You got to have one. You got to be organized and have a leader. But you couldn't get away with that today. But he did. That line foreman, back then they had about 10 or 12 or more on the truck, you know, because he did everything by hand. And he fired all of them but Herb and the truck driver. Herb was such a good lineman, I think he decided he better keep on.
What year are you talking?
Well, way back there, long before I went to work there.
43, 44?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, at least back that far. Because, you know, there's a lot of things going on. There's a reason we have a union. A lot of young people today, they don't think you need any, you know. They say, we don't need a union. They blame all this trouble on the union. This trouble is not caused by the union. I think the union has to change their attitude on some things because of this economy. But they think you don't need it, but you do, because if you're not represented or led, you're just a bunch of wild animals almost, as far as organization is concerned. And you can't bargain. One man's not allowed to bargain for himself anyway. So you have to have an organization. But I said 30 years ago, and I kind of got hollered at a few times at a union meeting. I said, someday we're going to have to change our method of operation completely, and we have. It's all changed now, you know, the way this district's broken up and everything. Because back then, you know, if a guy had a little oaken in town, he was the head honcho. You know, he made a lot of decisions you couldn't make today because they wouldn't let you. So I think the union, I said back then that we was going to have to change our way and get into part of the operation of the company some way or other, because we're going to have to take a lot of responsibility that we didn't used to have. They paid us, we spent the money on beer, go back to work on Monday, you know. Not that way anymore.
We got to take more ownership.
Actually, we have to take more responsibility.